about him, they started caring about themselves.
That's right.
And so he started to do better, and I told him, I said, I expect when I get old and in the nursing home in the wheelchair, I expect you to either be a doctor that's taking care of me, or a nurse, or you're going to be a lawyer that comes back to visit me.
Sure.
So that gave him some higher expectations, and I noticed he started dressing like a professional.
Of course, but you made him feel important. No one had done this.
Right.
And you made him realize you are important. We need you.
Exactly.
We need you. And it's obvious he wasn't getting that at home. And who knows what he was going through at home. Could have been a situation where his parents didn't care what he did.
I know.
And that's one of the problems I believe that's going on now. There are many parents, and there are great, brilliant students.
Sure.
But you've got a lot of parents who take no interest in what their child is doing. And there are parents whose children are excelling, and the parents, some of them are jealous and upset because they're thinking, well, oh, you think you're better than me now. That's terrible.
That's so unfortunate. Children have so much to go through. And growing, just to get to, they learn so much from the time they're born. Just think they learn to walk, talk, say their ABCs and all of that before they come to school.
Sure.
Now, if they learned all that in 6 years, think how much they could learn in 6 more years.
That's true.
And then, as they continue on through college and get the doctorates and so on, they'll be excellent students. But you got to make them feel that they're important enough to do these things.
And you have to nurture them, and that is so very important because no one wants to feel like they are nobody.
That's right.
No one wants to feel like they're not important, like no one cares. And I'm sure that conversation changed that young man's his thought process, because he's thinking, well, Mrs. Payne thinks I'm important. I should start feeling the same way too.
Exactly.
And you put him on a completely different path.
He still didn't get a lot of help from home, but what he did, he improved himself. So, like I said, maybe his clothes worked, the cleanness or whatever, but he came looking much nicer. He would try to get his hair combed, and anything that he didn't have, he knew I had, so he would take advantage of it.
And didn't that make you feel good though? But it made you feel good that he was trying, and you, all you could do was applaud him for that, because he was trying, and that conversation changed him. And it's really something.
I try to make him feel special.
But Sister Payne, there are some great teachers out there.
Exactly.
But there are some who I have seen in action, and I see why the kids aren't learning things they should learn, because the educators, not all, but there are many educators today that aren't like they were years ago when you were teaching us, when we were being taught, and that's unfortunate. And you being a mother, some of them are burned out, and then some of them, I think, may just be going to get a paycheck, and that's unfortunate. You find that in a lot of professions. It's not just teachers, the teaching profession. I'm just going to get a check. I don't care. But having raised your children, that motherly instinct, you helped this young man.
Yeah, I sure hope I did. And from time to time I went to a nursing home the other day to see someone, and ran into my mother, one of my mothers, and her daughter. And I recognized the daughter, but of course I'd forgotten the name. And they just interrupted the meeting I was in. They just ran in and hugged and kissed me and thanked me for help, being such a help to them. And the patient who was there, I said, now, this is my friend, so keep an eye on him. He said, so they go by and see about him when they're at work, make sure he's okay and if he needs anything.
Isn't that wonderful?
But see how things go in a circle.
They go in full circle, and it's so important those very special teachers remain on your mind. Like I said, of course, Mr. Herman Brinson, Mr. Donald Ross, which I believe Mr. Ross passed away several years ago. Dell Wise, my band teacher, I love Mr. Wise, he passed away a year or so ago. Lorene Phillips, mythology, American literature, one of my favorite teachers. Nancy Van Hall. There's just
See,
so
that-
many teachers.
That's how you remember that?
I remember them.
You remember
And
that?
I remember the lessons that they taught us, and those were just some of the few
Yeah.
who just made such an impression
Okay.
in my life. But I wanted to learn. And there are a lot of young people who
Yeah.
want to learn, but you've got to have that know-how.
Yes.
You've got to have that. And for our young viewers, it's so very important to go to school. My biggest regret, and I am not ashamed to say this, my biggest regret is that I did not finish college. I was at Oakland University. I have a year and a half to go. I would have gotten my bachelor's degree in '84. And I told my mom and dad, I says, well, you know what? I'm going to quit college. I can go back later. I'm going to get a job. They really did not want me to do this. And I did it. And here it is. All these years later, that's my biggest regret. But I am determined. I said before, unless the Lord's getting ready to take me soon, which Lord, I hope you're
I
not,
know that's right.
I'm going to go back and get my bachelor's degree.
Exactly.
I've been blessed with wonderful jobs. I've been blessed with a wonderful job, working for a great boss. I have a wonderful job. I have a profession. But I've often wondered, there's more that I could have done. And I would tell anyone, do not stop. If you start, keep on with it. But education is something you can't put a price tag on it. And the more knowledge you have, when you have that knowledge, no one can take that from you. No one can take that from you.
That's why I encourage all the children who get, okay, yeah, you finish high school and that's wonderful. I'm so proud of you. But college is very important.
Yes, it is.
And you have to learn that you have to be structured. You have to set up a schedule for yourself and stick to it. One that works for you. That includes study time, because you need good study habits for college. It's very different from high school.
It certainly is.
And I don't know that they all remember that it's different.
It's definitely different.
It's a new world.
It's a new world, but we can't place emphasis more on the importance of education. And I know with my job, typing is definitely a part of my life. Has been for years. And I had great teachers, Mr. Rotzel and Miss Priscilla Rice at Pontiac Central. I even took shorthand as well, which that's definitely a dying form. But when typing my transcripts, I listen to some of these people who testify in court. It is amazing. You listen to the grammatical errors that are used. It's like, oh my God. And I think, did they go to school? Did they learn how to speak? So it's important to be able to read and write, because there's no reason, I don't feel, Sister Payne, that anyone under the age of 60 should be illiterate.
That's right.
A lot of our older generations, I know my dad and my grandmother, they had to come out of school when they were in elementary school to help on the farms, to help in the fields. But nowadays, this generation has every opportunity. And if you can't read and write, you're handicapped. You can be taken advantage of.
And do you know, I heard somewhere that they were thinking about taking penmanship out of school because the computer can do it all for them now. But still, when you get ready to sign your check, you need to know how to.
You sure do. Well, my mom got on me. I was in Miss Henderson's class, second grade at Whittier, and I was doing a writing assignment. They used to have the beige paper with the green lines, and I was sitting at the kitchen table and writing, and truthfully, I was half doing it. I just wanted to get it done. And my mother walks through and she looks and she's like, Alicia, I know you can do better than that. Oh, okay, Mama. So I did a little bit better, but not that much. Mom came back through, she said, you know what? I know you can do better. And if you don't do any better and you don't write that better, I got something for you. She didn't quite say it that way, but she had a belt, and I knew she meant business. I straightened right up. And people, when they tell me today, oh, Alicia, you have such beautiful handwriting, I say, believe it or not, I have my mother to credit for that.
I know, that's right.
But we've just got to understand that one thing that's important, especially now, you've got to have that education. And one thing that I really hope, Sister Payne, that will help, I know one of the problems is lack of funding for programs to keep students here competitive with other school districts.
Exactly.
Because you gotta keep the kids up, they've gotta be
Because
competitive.
when they leave and go away to college and they run into children who have had it, all of these advantages and all of these, been exposed to all these things,
Yes.
they have a problem because they don't know.
And they're embarrassed, and they're like the children who didn't want kids to see them eating.
Right.
But you're in a college atmosphere, and as you say, it's different because in college, you don't really have that one-on-one contact.
You don't have
Those
that nurturing
professors
thing.
are pushing you through,
Exactly.
and if you don't know something, you just don't know it. You can always get a tutor, but they push you through, so that makes a huge difference. So we've got to have funding too for our school districts,
Exactly.
for our kids
Exactly.
to be able to stay competitive.
And another thing we really need is qualified people to run these professions.
Yes.
When I first started teaching, it was in 66, I think, 67. And this was the most wonderful school district in the world. When we moved here from Nashville, I wrote to my grandfather in Nashville, this is a wonderful place to put the children in school and to raise them.
Yes.
And it was. And I couldn't wait to get to work. It was just, you'd stay late,
Yes.
and then you at home figuring out things to do for children, and then it would be a joy to get back to school.
Yeah,
But by the time I retired, I began to feel the stress of it because sometimes I would, try to engage kids on this topic, and I think nobody's listening. I'm just talking to myself. They're so busy. And then your hands are so tied, you can't raise your voice at them, you can't get their attention.
Yes.
You have to and it's like they're running things.
Isn't that
so
something?
it's so sad.
That is sad.
Now I've been retired for about 7 years now, and I'm sure it hasn't gotten that much better.
I doubt it. Well, it's funny you said that, Sister Payne, because we are planning to have a couple educators as our guests.
Yes.
This is just the first part of our show, but we're planning to have some educators to come on, and we've got some questions for them. And we're interested in hearing what is it like now, and what are some of the things maybe that could help to turn things around, especially here in our city of Pontiac, which we love. Well, we are enjoying you as always, but it looks like it's about time for us to go. But we just want to say thank you for tuning in, and be sure to tune in next time to see us on Sit and Chat with Alicia.
And Pat,
Be blessed.
be blessed.